Hello viewers, Super GT here on Gran Turismo Sport. We're going to go into the Audi TT for a race around the Nürburgring. Now in the start warm-up or the little chat, guy suggests Super GT YouTube. I actually think that's a really good idea. Maybe I should start uploading my videos onto YouTube. Hello, that's a good idea. But I will say I'm a beginner at this. So here it is, my first ever YouTube video, and I am starting 8th position, Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, Audi TT of course, in Group 4. An unusual starting formation here on the chicane, and this seems to have resulted in me being my own little division here. You see the gap up to 7th is huge, and the gap back to 9th is also huge, so I'm kind of in my own little league. LMP 1.5 if you like. Into the first corner, plenty of carnage, plenty of ghosting, no one facing the wrong way though, and no one crashing out. I'm relying on this big group to start fighting, to start battling, to start wiping each other out, and I should be able to get onto the back of them. So I've started with that big deficit and already looking towards the back of the Atenza in 7th. From what I can gather from the leaderboards, the Atenza is the strongest car. In fact, every time inside the top 10 was done inside the Mazda Atenza, which we can see that in 5th and also 7th. The top 2, interestingly, are using the Mitsubishi Evo. So not a car I've seen really used too much. It's one that has amazing handling, but really no straight line speed at all. So right about now, through the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, slowly beginning to get onto the back of the group. So we have an NSX now displaced by the Atenza down into 7th. Looking up the inside, is it quite going to happen? No, not quite. The Audi TT, it's fast. It's definitely a fast car in Group 4, but it's kind of horrible to drive. As soon as you get on that throttle, it will just strain itself out and want to drive straight off the track. So you really do have to time your throttle application to perfection unless you want to spend some time on the grass. Looking again up the inside into the hairpin and a bit of a nudge on the exit. And enough for a 10-second penalty. Absolutely brutal punishments being dished out here, and well, I seem to always be attracted to penalties. It's going up. 50, almost murder that guy. I mean, that was the worst thing I did there. I think probably nearly kill that guy as I just braked in front of him. So we're going to have to stop, and that's basically ruined the entire race. Down into 13th position, 14th position, almost last. And it's only a 4-lap race, so I've got pretty much no chance of getting anything good from here to the end. So coming down the hill, this German he feels sorry for me. He's just going to give me a position. We eventually catch up with an Italian in the Mercedes. Let's see if we can go about getting maybe a top 10 if we can get past this guy and one more. Again, short race, we're on lap 3 now, so we're running out of time to really get anything done. Coming through onto the back straight, quite a crucial section here, up into the chicane, always a good overtaking opportunity. I'm going to tuck right into that slipstream, pull over to the left, and the top end speed of the Audi helping me through on the brakes into the chicane, mullering the curb. A little bit too much on the second apex. We get a penalty. So once again, and it's going to go up. I'm going to have to slow down once again. So we've got deja vu here, and on the exit, the German's going to come back through. So this is quite clearly a really bad performance from me. The German just felt sorry for me even more, and he handed the position back. So at the end of the race, finished 13th, although it turned out to be 12th, as a couple of people had a penalty ahead of me. So an absolute disaster, a nightmare, quite frankly. to kick off proceedings. And our guy there, just looking on at shame at that Audi. It's a car that, yeah, I didn't really enjoy around that track, it must be said. And it's demoted me to an A rating. So I was SS not long ago. Now I'm already down to AA. So then I went for the Mitsubishi Evolution because the top two were driving this car, so I thought I'd go for it. Going very defensive into the first corner, but also going way too late on the brakes, so I pretty much negated that whole defence and lost the position anyway. So the German goes through into second, I'm down to third. The Frenchman in the lead, running very wide, going through exit of turn 2 into 3, but he was about a second and a half quicker on his qualifying lap, which doesn't bode well, especially now he's in the lead and I'm down into third. But we're going to have to try and get past this German as fast as possible and try to hunt him down if possible. So I'm going to look up the inside into turn 6, get the job done, very aggressive, there we go. So many people requesting a more angry Super GT. We get a 1 second penalty for that. Lots of people saying I'm too timid or too cautious. Well, there you go. How about some full-on aggression? No messing about. Get out of the way, German. I'm coming through. Up into second. So now we're going to have to try to hunt down the Frenchman. He's in a French car, the Renault Megane, in Group 4 here. Used to be OP, used to be absolutely ridiculously OP in a straight line. And it probably will, well, not OP, but it's going to be definitely faster than me in a straight line. I'm going to have to make the most of this car's handling ability. It does go around the corners very well, and you do have to be very brave with the throttle. You can afford, unlike the Audi, to get on the throttle very early, and the car kind of likes that. It kind of grips really nicely once you get on it. So winding round up the hill then, the gap is increasing behind, so we're probably not going to have to worry about those two guys behind. Hopefully not anyway. Into the chicane, there we go. As long as you get two wheels on the red and white rumble strip, you are okay. I've still got a second, or over a second, no, exactly a second of penalty left to serve, so that is still an ongoing problem for me. But as long as it's not going up, then that's good for now. So we have 3 laps to try to rule this guy in, get past him and serve a penalty, or get a second ahead of him. So that is always an option. And into the first corner, I think this kind of section here, this is where I'm going to have to make the most of the car's handling. The gap's gone down from 1.5 to 1.2 around turns 1 and 2. So I'm gaining already through this section. And I was talking about his qualifying time, 1.5 seconds quicker, a low 2:04, and my time was a mid 2:05 in qualifying. But the thing about qualifying, it can be misleading because you only have to do 1 lap at that speed. So you might have done 1 really mega lap at 2:04.0, but then the rest of his laps might be 2:06s. You just never know. So it's not always a true indicator of someone's race pace. It's sometimes a lot different. So ideally you want to be consistent in a race, whereas for qualifying you just need to nail 1 lap, and you just have it all the time in the world to do it with qualifying. So they are very different disciplines. So it isn't always the case that qualifying will dictate exactly where you should finish based on the grid positions. So there's always a hope of going forwards. Now this is the message you never want to see halfway through a race. Your battery level's getting low. I've fallen victim to this many times before, where the controller, both on Xbox and PlayStation, have gone off mid-race, and we all know how disastrous that is. So I'm kind of racing quickly here to try to get to the end before the controller dies. So I'm in a race against a Megane, but also a race against my battery power. So into the chicane, this is the second lap of 4. We're approaching halfway through the race, cutting that one very fine, almost getting another penalty. I'm really pushing it to the limit, really risking getting that second penalty, but at the moment we have only 1 second to serve. Down into the hairpin, lap number 3, he takes a very deep line in, so perhaps the brakes on that car aren't as good as the Mitsubishi here. Definitely a lot closer now, setting purple sectors. You can see on the left hand side of the screen a 2:04 lap time, so I am the quickest car on the track at the end of lap 2. I'm looking to make that an improvement at the end of this lap as well. Let's see if I can do that. About 2-3 corners left to go in this lap, and as long as we get those relatively okay, then we should be good for another fastest lap. So once again, purple sector as we come up towards the chicane, taking a very unusual line. I'm trying to maximise that slipstream as much as possible. And here we go, getting very close, and just a little bit too much throttle halfway through the corner. And you can see just how that takes away the momentum at the crucial point halfway through that corner where you need to be switching from left to right. And I'm going to lose good half a second, I think, there. I was right on his tail, and it would have given me a good run down this main straight, right in his slipstream. But now with 1 lap left to go, I've given him a bit of breathing room, but you never know, he might have a penalty, probably not. Certainly not for contact. I haven't seen him make any contact, but you just never know if he might have cut the chicane a tiny amount, you know, even by 1 pixel, and he is going wide there. I don't think that's going to give him a penalty. You can go very wide on the entry there, and on the exit of turn 4 here you can go very wide and you don't get a penalty for that. But as it remains here, we don't really know the situation fully, which is why we do have to try and keep as close to him as possible. Obviously, just to put the pressure on. He might make a massive mistake. You just never know in one of these races. Get as close as you can. They might make a massive mistake. Most of the time they probably won't, but if you don't get within range to put the pressure on, then they definitely won't. So then into the hairpin. On the exit, you can see getting very close. He seems to be making a few mistakes on the entry to the hairpin, which is costing him, definitely. So pull right in. Now up the hill through the Schumacher S, a very power orientated section of the circuit, so he's going to pull away as expected. We do know that the Megane is fast in a line. I have the handling ability over him, so hopefully with just 2 or 3 corners left to go, I am setting the fastest lap here, although at the moment the leader is the fastest man on circuit with lap 3 at 2:04.7. Will argue that I should have been quicker without that mistake through this final chicane on the last lap. We're very close, but I don't think it's going to be enough as we go into the final corner. Unless he's got a penalty, that is the only way that I could beat him. It's going to have to be more than a second. It's going to have to be a 2-second penalty. He moves over to the right hand side. He doesn't slow down. We cross the line. I set the fastest lap of the race, so that's some sort of consolation at least. But I do end up finishing second, so not too bad a result. It's just that one mistake I made in the chicane on lap 3, which definitely cost me. But there we go. The guy giving a big cheer, but overall it was a bit of a nightmare here at Nürburgring, so I don't think he needs to be cheering too much. And I'm going to show a couple of races here. Willow Springs. This first race was very interesting. I'm going to give a very quick, rough overview of what happened. Into the first corner, I'm just wondering, will the Greek go for it? Will he go for the launcher? Go defensive. He does go for it. There he goes. But he goes way too deep. And then we'll get the cut back done on the exit. Back up into 3rd place. Let's see if he's going to go for another one. I'm often the victim of lunges into turn 1. I should perhaps go more defensive. And hopefully that is enough of his quota for lunges of the day. But is he going to go for another one into the left-hander up the hill? A very late move. He kind of just nudged me very sideways. And instant karma is about to strike as we come through the right-hander. He's just going to drive straight off the track. And this guy here, Moses, incidentally, falls victim of the Moses effect. So that's 2 positions I gained for free. Super GT effects in operation. So this guy makes a mistake from the lead, and then a lap later he's still fairly close. I make this mistake, so trading plenty of mistakes here, and ultimately I finish second. Again, it seems to be my new favourite position in any game. I suppose it's better than 6th, but I'd rather it was first if anything. So then there we go, the Audi TT winning that race, finishing second. So I suppose, if you can consistently finish second, it's not too bad. There's a lot of worse positions than that. I'm going to try to go one better here at the 2nd time of asking. Again, around Willow Springs. Gone for the Audi TT this time. It didn't really perform too well for me around the Nürburgring. but we're going to see if it can do any better here at Willow Springs. So the Italian up ahead with a very vicious move against the German. Moses effect. Once again, Moses getting absolutely shafted early doors here, as he was in the previous race. So up into third, we've got Germany in the lead, and we've got an Italian in second. All three of us here in the top three positions are driving the Audi TT. So this race is going to come down to pure driver skill or a lack thereof. We'll decide how that one goes. So through the right-hander, the car very solid, it's just very stiff, very, very stiff indeed. So I suppose that does make it fairly easy to control. It's just hard to really maximise every inch of the circuit. It can be very tricky. So then, winding down the hill, up towards the long turn 8. So there's a slight kick to the left there, that's turn 7, then we've got the very long 8, which kind of blends into the final turn, which is turn 9. Very fast entry, this one. You have to brake very early, and the apex quite a long time after you brake. The Italian just dipping 2 wheels into the sand. Going to give me a run into turn 1, probably not enough to go for a move, unless I'm a crazy Greek person, like in the previous race. It's not quite going to happen though. So, actually taking a very, very nice corner there, and it's going to put us right onto the back of the Italian. So the top 3 of us here, very close indeed. It was good to see. Now, as I said earlier, the qualifying results aren't always representative of the race pace, but it seems to be the case here that we are fairly well matched, and our qualifying times were fairly similar. So it is sometimes the case that we are going to have a close race, and hopefully that is looking like it's going to be the case here. So we've got Moses behind still, so he's not going to give up just yet. I mean, he's going to try to hope and use the he's going to try and use the Moses effect himself. I mean, that's probably why he put his name as that. So I'd imagine he is some sort of specialist at wiping people to the side and allowing himself to pass through safely. But we shall see about that. It remains to be seen. Into the final corner for the second time. A 6-lap race here, and on that lap I'd say the leader is just growing into the race. He's sort of built his advantage by just under a second now, but still not too far. I'm going to look for that move, but once everyone is braking on the limit, it's hard to kind of brake even later and go for those Danny Rick kind of lunges. I'm not quite on Danny Rick's level just yet. So through the long winding right hand corner, and we've both taken that one very similarly, and the Italian here seems to be making a few mistakes. The odd error, that is definitely a big mistake, but it's kind of put me on the outside, which isn't the best place to be. Look for the cutback. Is it on? Not quite. It's always hard in the same machine to try to get some sort of big advantage, because you're both going to kind of accelerate at exactly the same rate. So then, winding over the hill, over the crest, down towards the back straight. Moses still about half a second behind. He's lurking ominously, just knowing that if we were to make any mistakes, he would definitely pounce upon it and be past both of us, or either of the top 3 here. So momentary lapse into the final corner, and we are through safely. Going to tuck into that slipstream as much as possible. We do have a run here. Is it going to be enough into the first corner? Going to pull right in, pull out to the left hand side. I'm more than halfway alongside, and we go for the move. It's a very clean move. I showed patience and character there to wait for the exact right opportunity. It's not an easy track to pass on if the car ahead isn't making huge errors, and especially if you're driving the same car. If you have a car which has got really good straight line speed, you can just wait for the straights, and of course vice versa, if you have a good handling car, just wait for the corners. But if you're driving the same car, it can be difficult. So there, just having to wait for him to make a poor run, and of course making the most of the slipstream, which definitely helps on the Gran Turismo game here, giving you a couple of attempts up the straight sometimes. In some cases, depends obviously on the length of the straight. So now the focus has shifted to try to catch up with the German in the lead. So he's kind of built up a fairly safe gap, but still under a second. But judging by our pace for the first couple of laps, it seems as though we're fairly well matched. So this one It's one of those races where even gaining a tenth or 2 tenths on a lap might be deemed very good. The Italian flashing his lights at me as he goes off the circuit just behind, so we still have to consider him too. We can't focus entirely on the leader, as we do have to kind of defend our position now that we are on lap 5 or 6. The leader making a big error through turn 1, going a little bit too deep on the brakes, and he's going to lose a couple of attempts, a vital couple of attempts now as we approach the climax of the race. 1.5 laps remaining, so I'm 2 tenths up on that split. So this is going to be our fastest lap so far. The lap time so far have been very, very even. Low 17s, low 117s. The leader there, or sorry, it's Moses actually with the fastest lap at 1:16.9. So he's actually dipped in to the 16s, a couple of attempts quicker than the top 3. So perhaps he's costly being victimised by a dive bomb by the Italian on lap 1 is going to cost him dearly, as it looks like he is the fastest person on the track. But that doesn't really count for much when you get dive bombed early doors. So he's going to perhaps be ruining his luck back in 4th place. So we have 1 lap remaining. I feel that the German ahead has kind of got his act together here. He made a big error, but he's not really flustered by it too much. The Italian is going to go into the slipstream. I'm going to go defensive. There's only 1 lap left to go, and I don't think I'm within range really to try and go for a pass on the leader. So I think the attention is shifted once again back from trying to catch up with the leader to now just trying to secure our 2nd place. Very close, a slight hint of contact halfway through the corner, but it's not really too worrying. He is very close. Will we have to go defensive into the next corner? Thinking about it, as long as we hit our brake markers, there's not really a lot he can do unless he goes for a kamikaze lunge, although we have seen him do that on lap 1. So just about 3 or 4 corners left to go in the race. I don't think I'm quite going to be able to catch up with the leader, unless he has a penalty of course, or he makes a very big error now. But he seems to have been very cool, calm and collected so far in this race, so I don't think I'll be able to get past him in this one. I think I'm going to have to settle for 2nd once again, and if you add up the 3 seconds that I've had, then it does total 6th. So Super GT video confirmed through the final corner. There we go, we hit the apex. It's going to be a 2nd place once again. It was a good race actually. One of those very slow burners where you kind of just have to take what you can get, and it's not really one of those ones where you can just blitz your way through. There are the results. 1.1 seconds off the leader in the end, and I think the German there in the lead drove a very calm and collected race, not really making too many mistakes apart from the one at the first corner on about lap 5. But other than that, he drove very well. So 2nd place, not too bad at all. I do hope you enjoyed the video as always, guys. Do let me know your thoughts. Just so you know, this was all played on the controller. Just trying to sort out the wheel settings at the moment. But there we go, guys. I do hope you enjoyed as always. Do sub for more and hit the like button if you enjoyed. I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Listen.